So I personally hold a bachelor's in international business and also a master's in business administration from Makerere University, specializing in finance. And I've been in spaces of consultancy, business analysis for a couple of years, much as the passion shifted quite a lot from consultancy and manufacturing and investment planning to manufacturing. And I picked this passion in manufacturing after advisory of several entrepreneurs in spaces of manufacturing, where they would come in and say, we have so much money, we have 10 million Uganda shillings, we have 2 million Uganda shillings, we have 1 million US dollars. We would like to know what to do. So I picked interest because I kept advising people, and I realized that they are making quite a good amount of money and making some good growth over a few years because we're going to support them. And I picked interest. Now, I looked around and found that shoes is one of the areas where there is an opportunity, and I took it on. So I started with business planning, which is rather unconventional, and buying a few very small machines, kept them in my apartment, and we launched business after a year. That was around 2016. And here we are. We were manufacturing about 3 pairs then, making 3 pairs literally with 1 employee. And currently we make over 200 pairs every day with about 24 full-time employees. And that is the rather story. That is how we started. Our shoes are largely children's school shoes. Now, that was a bit of how we started. But at Radar Shoes, we are a green manufacturing enterprise. And our focus is really school shoes, because we realize that there is an opportunity for children's school shoes. There is leather that is abundantly available in Uganda. And we decided that we shall go into manufacturing of children's school shoes dominantly until COVID, when the story a bit of diversified. But our focus has been to make children's school shoes ridiculously affordable and accessible. Now, the issue of school shoes is that they are not easily available. Good quality leather shoes is not easily available, even when leather is available all over the country. But then you have about 3 million children who go to school on foot, and a number of them who walk in plastic shoes. If you know Sandak or Masanda shoes, and these kids move about 5 kilometers, 7 kilometers every day on foot in coldest and extreme heat. And these are the kids that we are looking at. These are the kids whom we are trying to impact and change their story. Give them an affordable pair of shoes, give them a good quality of shoe that they can use for 3 to 4 years, and then they're able to compete. That is our story. So our vision is really to make shoes ridiculously affordable and accessible to school-going children in Uganda. And we are targeting to move from 500 pairs to 2,000 pairs, hopefully by 2025. And we've grown over that period. I'm just giving you a bit of background of what we've been doing. We've grown over the period. Those figures are actually in dollars. We presented them during an investor meeting. In 2018, we made around 51,000 US dollars, and that was in net profit. So when you look at it, we were able to make profit of around, able to make sales of around 180 million at that point. And by 2022, we had made sales of over 750 million. And we made a bit of good profit on it. Now, over the time, we've been partners with Nile Breweries. I should have also put Enterprise Uganda because they have been coaching us since then. Since 2017, we've been coached by Enterprise Uganda. And really, the focus of Enterprise Uganda is to help you understand how big, how scalable, and how innovative that business can be. When we took on Enterprise Uganda, we're looking at it as a survival business. How do you make some small money here and you go to consultants and make some money there and life goes on? But then when Enterprise Uganda came on board, said, hey, look, what is your serviceable market? What is the market potential? And we looked at it. And right now, we're looking at a serviceable market of over 4 million pairs of shoes, 4 million pairs of shoes per year. And that is the challenge that we are dealing with. Himself, Ronald Mukasa, has been one of our mentors over this time. So we've kept adding investment. We started with about 3 million Uganda shillings, sincerely about 3 million. And right now we've invested over 550 million in assets, in stock, and so much. We've got some small financing from PSFU for skilling, and also Oxfam gave us some 15,000 euros for certification and machinery. And we've ended up being certified by UNBS after a rigorous process for certification. So that has been our story. That is how we've moved. And we've seen profit grow. We've seen the number of employees grow. We've seen impact roaring from so many village areas, from so many school-going children, especially the rural-going children, and we've grown. So if Derek turns on the next slide, you'll see a sample of our shoes. That is our key product. Our product looks exactly like that. That is our key product. Our shoes are durable. Our shoes are affordable. At most 50,000 Uganda shillings, you get a shoe that will take you at least 3 good years without needing to revise it or do anything about it. So we think that every school-going child in Uganda needs this kind of shoe. So yeah, that is where we are. But amidst all this, we've definitely had a number of challenges. And these challenges are cross-cutting over the industry. These challenges have been there and will not go away anytime soon. One of the challenges that we really face in the cottage manufacturing is a lack of skilled labor. And this has to do with attitude towards work. My background, I've told you, is finance, but we needed very good artisans who are good at crafting, at designing, and developing concepts of shoes. So these children, rather the workers that we have currently, do not have this skill. We have Chambogo University, we have Kabasanda Training Institute, and a few other institutes, Chisubi, which train shoemakers. But when they come here at RADA, they're amazed by how much equipment we have. They're amazed by how much machinery we've acquired, and they don't know how to use them. And even the skill is too raw. And as such, we have to take them through another 6 months of training. And this training can come at a very high cost. Now, besides that training, it is the issue of the attitude, really, because sometimes these workers come and their interest is really to make some money off and go away. But look, you're employing someone and you're telling them that they have to undergo 4 months of training. They won't like it. And given that this industry is a bit of a design, you need people who are creative, who are interested, who are focused to change the trend, to change, to innovate ideas. So I think, honestly speaking, much as the skill is limited, but the attitude towards work is very challenging. But then it is upon us to engage, to motivate, to direct our staff, our team, to be able to understand where we are heading, to understand the vision, to see the big picture. I think it's a bit of selling your idea to the entire team so that they own it. Otherwise, if you hide it, then they won't pull the vision down, then they won't be part of the mission, and therefore they'll be there to make some money and go away. So we have to motivate the workers, in other words. But also we have to keep skilling these people, because we do a lot of skilling. Sometimes you train them and they leave, but you have to keep training them. Yeah. The other challenge in this space of manufacturing is access to finance. Now, access to finance, when you look at it, it is one of the most pressing challenges, probably the number one challenge in the manufacturing space. The manufacturing is capital intensive, is labor intensive. You need so many workers, you need so many machines, you need so much investment in plant and equipment. So access to finance becomes very critical. But you know what? You move to the bank, you move to other traditional lenders, the biggest question is collateral. And therefore, the issue of access to finance is limited in my own understanding. Cost and terms. Cost and terms. And these issues are not about to be resolved. They will ask for collateral. Now, you guys, you can agree with me that you cannot start a manufacturing firm and instead of investing in equipment, you invest in land, you invest in a building, because they don't do the work. But the truth is that the bank wants a building and wants land. In other words, they want a land title. So someone shouldn't confuse you that there's anything outside collateral that is beyond a land title. Either it is land, developed or undeveloped. But you see, in cottage manufacturing, in small scale manufacturing, we don't have the land titles, which is collateral. The second issue is the loan size. I recently was pressing a credit facility of about 140 million. And the gentleman in the bank said they can only afford me 80 million. And then the issue becomes, do I take it? Do I leave it? If I don't take it, can I be able to find it elsewhere? It becomes very hard to find it elsewhere. And if I take it, will it do the work? And most likely it doesn't do the work. And then the loan becomes bad in that case. So the loan size, of course, normally they say they give you 60% of your collateral, 60% of your collateral. Now, if you have a property of 100 million, they can only give you 60 million. And then that 60 million becomes unusable, especially in manufacturing. But also the issues of lack of flexibility. They don't want to revise the loan terms. You're saying, give me 2 months and I am going to import this machinery, because in that 2 months, I will not be making money off this loan that you're giving me. The bank will say, you have to start paying loan and interest immediately. And the point is, in the 2 months, you are not making the money. And therefore, this kind of lack of flexibility becomes a big concern. Of course, the other issue on access to finance is the terms. The time manufacturing is really a long-time investment. You don't put in plant and equipment and get people powering there to buy your products. You need 3-4 months, 3-4 years of testing and running in the market, but the bank will not give you credit for more than 2 years, apparently, unless there's a special relationship. The issue of interest. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at it, most businesses make between around 30% profit of your sales is very good business. 30% is very good business if you're making that profit margin. But look, the bank needs 22% of your sales, of your profit. So in that case, what business are you running? Now, if you're running business over serving a loan facility over 3-4 years, it means that you will suffocate for the next 4 years. You do not have access. You do not have access to your own money. And the only thing you can do is to service that loan. So the interest rate clearly is very high, and it is something that we have to deal with. And then also the administration costs, they will charge you about 5% of the loan, and then the documentation is too much. But on the other hand, it gives us a task that we have to put the documents in place. We have to put to make sure that our businesses make money. We have to make sure that whatever we're doing is making business sense for a banker, because at the end of the day, they also have interests that they represent. So it's an uphill task to access finance here in Uganda, and finance becomes a very big limitation to go into manufacturing, and it needs a lot of money. Currently, we are looking for about $2 million in order for us to be able to manufacture 2,000 pairs of shoes every day. And that money might not easily come off our traditional banks. It might have to come from a rather innovative investment facility that we're probably talking to in this period. The other challenge is access to equipment. Now, access to equipment, the machines for manufacturing are not locally available, leave alone Katwe, leave alone where we get some of these machines. Machines come from Asia, China, they come from Europe, our machines come from Italy, and these machines do not come easy. And as such, sometimes you have had to buy machines online and you pay without knowing the supplier, because the cost of going there is way too high for you to afford and also be able to pay for the machinery. I remember one of our big machines really that we financed, we paid about 80 million, but we paid it in installments. And the supplier said, it's okay. When you finalize the payment, we shall ship your machine. And it happened. But you see, it in this process, it is a very big risk to pay your money up front. You probably have a fake, I would call it a fake contract agreement with this supplier. You don't know where they are, but at the end of the time, they deliver. And that is one way of affording machinery if you really want to be in manufacturing space. The other challenge is taxation. Yes, you must comply. You must comply in manufacturing. You must pay your taxes. Now, one of the taxes that I find a bit ridiculous is equipment tax. They will tell you that you can import in machinery for manufacturing free of charge. When you reach the customs, the story is different. They will ask you, have you been compliant? Have you been paying if, for example, you do not pay VAT, that means you'll pay a number of other taxes. You pay a number of other taxes. You'll probably pay some bit of VAT on that machine. You'll pay some bit of withholding tax. And most of the time when you are importing a machine, you never think about them because it is your first time. You probably don't have a tax advisor and you have to pay them. So in my appeal, it would be good for probably Enterprise Uganda to engage the ministry that these machines which are ready for production are not taxed at all. Why withhold from this machine? Why pay VAT? Because we are going to add value. So we haven't added value, but it's already being charged. So it is a big challenge on importing machine, and then you have so much tax to pay. And meanwhile, as you try to look for tax exemptions and other things, this machine is accumulating demurrage. It is accumulating storage costs and other fees that will be lodged onto you. So you better clear and get out of that space. Of course, we have several other taxes that we pay. We have currently we are trying to see how to pay VAT tax. We've been paying withholding, we've been paying our annual income tax, but also we have pay as you earn. We also have NSSF. So all those are costs that come to us that we have to manage, that we have to comply to. But in my opinion, if you enter a manufacturing space and you're given at least 10 years tenure of tax-free operation, probably this money would be reinvested and you wouldn't suffocate a lot. Sometimes it sounds like small money or it looks little money, but it has an impact in terms of exponential growth of our enterprises. Yes, I want to talk about psychosocial support, lack of psychosocial support. In most cases, it has appeared that in Uganda, when you're operating a startup, either you're not well educated, you've dropped out, or you are unemployed, you've failed to find a job, or you're someone who is rather miserable and life is not going okay. And it looks like the alternative to having no choice of employment, rather to go and try and survive. And most people call it a side hustle. But then to some of us, it is actually the main hustle. And therefore, it becomes a bit of a psychosocial torture to most upcoming entrepreneurs. Interestingly, RADA is over 5 years. We no longer have that stigma. We have grown our revenues, we've grown our sales, we've grown our team, and it doesn't look miserable. But when you look at these young people who are doing it so rudimentary, they are mixing so many ideas, they are mixing their materials manually, and so it becomes a bit of, this guy is having a side hustle because he doesn't have a job. And it tends to be looked at like that. I think it is something that needs to change. It needs to be seen as a way of life in entrepreneurship. I am sure those of you who are in business would understand what I'm talking about. Unless you make it big in life, that's when people don't see it as a bit of a hassle. They say, yeah, this guy is in big business. Yes, lastly, on the challenges, I want to talk about cross-cutting factors, cross-cutting issues. Now, you can't be in manufacturing space and you're not going green. You're not considering environmental conservation, environmental protection and preservation. They are very, very fundamental issues. For example, we've undergone circular manufacturing. Circular manufacturing is where your product is supposed to rotate around the ecosystem. If it can be reused, let it be reused. If you can repair a shoe, for example, and it goes back to production, perfect. That is green manufacturing. It is a big issue for manufacturing nowadays, and you have to show that you're environmentally friendly. The second issue is digitalization. How digitalized are you? How are you sales digitalized? And really, this was a big check during COVID because you don't interface the client and yet you still have to sell. And as such, we've ended up with so many digital selling and payment platforms, but it's a big issue that you must use. But also under digitalization, how are you adopting robots to make your products perfect? Some people think that when you do robot manufacturing, you're replacing people with machines and you're causing unemployment. That doesn't happen in footwear manufacturing, for example. So, but the need for a perfect product, the need for timely delivery requires that you digitalize, you adopt robots, and you improve the product in order for it to compete. Of course, competition is another issue which I didn't want to put up here because it is normal. It is normal to have it, unless when it is not regulated and you have so many products, for example, coming from the Asian market and they are being dumped here, especially shoes. That means it becomes very hard to compete. But cross-cutting factors of green manufacturing, digitalization, and gender issues. Yes, now for us at RADA, we are very happy that we employ youth. We employ young people because they are very good at designing. They are very imaginative, and they come up with very good shoes. We are trying to employ as more women as we can, just because the ratios are not exactly tallying, but we are happy that we are employing youth. We're employing, creating employment. Like I said, we started with one employee, and right now we have at least 24 young people and a lot more that we are training. So we are happy that in that space, we are playing a game. But if you are in space of manufacturing, you need to think about these cross-cutting issues. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to check whether someone is following because I want to bring challenges to close. Ronald, are we there?
Yes, we are. We can hear you clearly.
Great, great. I wanted to bring a bit of a connotation at this point that Ronald, when finally these challenges are sorted, it means the opportunity is no more, unfortunately. If you look at it, if all these challenges are solved, it means the opportunity is no more. When the machinery is out here, when you can digitalize whichever way you want, when you access all the money that you want, it means that the opportunities is no more. So therefore, as entrepreneurs, as manufacturers, the biggest deal for us is to deal with these challenges. If we can solve them right now, that means we will be able to deal with the market, we'll be able to make the opportunity count. And as that, we will be able to deal with the requirements of manufacturing. Otherwise, if all these challenges are no more, the opportunity is gone. Yes, I would like to discuss a few issues about the opportunities. Where are the opportunities? How do we envisage manufacturing going forward? What is there for us as entrepreneurs? One, there is increasing interest in green manufacturing. That is a fact. Products and processes and systems that consider environmental preservation is very, very important. You have to ensure that your products, there is environmental conservation. Your product and process does not contravene the environmental system. And really, this takes you a mileage, because if you want to attract green financing, for example, there is green financing. We are processing a credit facility with one of the banks. and it is funded by Uganda Green Finance Enterprise Association, called UGEFA. If you put UGEFA in your search, you'll find it. It is funded by European Union. And what are they looking at? They are looking at how sustainable are your enterprises. And when you're looking at green, you're not only looking at being good with the environment, you're looking at being able to employ people. That is part of the environment, especially young people. You're also looking at the impact that you're having. Sometimes people limit green to the green environment alone. No, the impact is very important. How are you touching people's lives? And therefore, there's a lot of interest in that space. How many people are you helping? How many workers are you working with? How many families are you feeding? And also, how good are you to the environment? So there's a lot of interest that you find out there. Also, secondly, Ronald, I would like to tell the audience that they are abundant of opportunities. When you look at Uganda alone, most of the products are imported. Most of products are imported. For example, the clothing industry is a one virgin area that every cloth that we put on is imported. Same for fine spinners that does some manufacturing here and 19. Otherwise, out of the so much money that we spend on clothing, we're importing. But look, who does manufacturing? Who is close at manufacturing of clothing in Uganda? It is Chiembe people. But Chiembe people is dominated by people who have not finished P7, definitely do not have a degree, a lot of them, and a lot of them who cannot even market a product, who do not know how to put people together, and they are the ones dominating this industry. And if the educated one goes to Chiembe and wants to transform manufacturing, they will look at you as unemployed, as unfocused, as a hustler. And that bit of stigma becomes a bit painful for our industry, for our industrial growth. But there is a big opportunity there. Like I said at the beginning, one of the eye-openers for me was a bakery. I did a number of business plans and financial analysis for bakery. There is a lot of bakery opportunity that is out there. But the challenge is most of our bakers are home bakers. Most of our bakers are making cakes, functional cakes. I don't know whether there is any baker that is listening right now, but they're making functional cake. But you see, the point is, how about make a bread that is consumed morning, afternoon, and evening, instead of making a cake that is only being consumed in this Easter? I saw a number of 3-5 bakers writing to me that they have Easter cakes. But I've been eating bread, and these bakers have not tapped into such a market. And at the end of the day, it ends up looking like a survival business. And for us at RADA, everyone that we work with, we have fought out this point of survival. We are not looking at what we can eat right now. We can probably find it everywhere. We are looking at what impact we can have. How can we change the game? How do we sell at least 5,000 pairs every day? How do we manufacture them and change people's lives? So there's a lot of opportunity that is out there for manufacturers, but the challenge is that we are looking at it small scale, small time. The last opportunity I was talking about, large scale food processing. This space is not dominated by Ugandans. It is not dominated by Ugandans. The Indians are the ones who are doing large-scale baking, who are doing large-scale processing of flour, of other flour byproducts. But there's so many Ugandans who are doing some small milling here, who are doing some small milling there, and pounding of peanuts. But this is not, they are just pinching on the opportunity. The opportunity is way bigger. And I think, Ronald, like how you transformed our thinking, I think Enterprise Uganda needs to transform our enterprises. What if we handheld 500 enterprises and transformed their thinking? Those who are doing small milling, they don't do packaging, they have no quality control system, and we put those systems in place for them, and they're able to turn around so much. Because, for example, the food industry, the demand is perpetual. You can't finish it. The demand is out there. But the Ugandans who are there, they're doing it small time. So I think at the end of the day, we have a small mindset, bit of manufacturing. We have a survival mindset in our businesses, in our manufacturing sector. We have an inability mindset that we can't do it big time. I remember I met a gentleman. I am about to close. I met a gentleman while I was trying to meet one of the funders at the Youth Livelihood program. And I sat with this gentleman somewhere at a restaurant, and he told me, Allan, you're going into shoes. I said, yes, you will suffer. You will suffocate. You're such a young man. You've acquired a degree. I said, yes, go and look for a job. Go and work. You find money there. Don't go and suffocate. We had a conversation of about 3 hours. I'm trying to convince this gentleman that there is business in manufacturing. This gentleman could not listen to me. And instead, I got a lot of negative energies. And honestly, if I had not done so much, I probably would have given up. But can we deal with that mentality of here we are suffering, we don't do so much? And then China, when I visited China, you find so many cottage manufacturers who are putting things together. At every homestead, there is a product being produced. At every homestead, and they are putting together small things, and they make sense. For example, on a shoe, we have buckles. So there is a homestead that does buckles, and they have a machine which does that. At the next homestead, there is another machine that manufactures shoelace, and it is doing that. And then at another homestead, there is another factory that manufactures soles, and they put things together, and the industry is booming. What if we adopted that approach? And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, the opportunity that is there is that we have a young, growing population. I'm sure we're about 42 million, and this 42 million population is a population of consumers. It's a population of consumers. Now, what if we decide to tap into this market? Because it means 42 million. At the very minimum, each person has a pair of shoes. Now, if you are tapping into such a market of 42 million pairs of shoes every year, where shall we get these shoes? That's why we are still importing shoes from China, from Indonesia, from those Asian countries, because the market abundance is up there. But also the other thing is the workers. There are so many trained, skilled people here, ranging from accountants, ranging from, now there is interest in vocational skills. That means when you get started, you'll end up with so much labor that you cannot even consume here. And it's an opportunity that we need to take charge of. I would like to, I see a number of questions coming in. I would like to get over to Ronald to handle the plenary and the discussion. But ladies and gentlemen, there is a big opportunity in manufacturing that we need to seize, and we have to get going because entrepreneurs are resilient and take the opportunity.
Wow.
Maybe one last thing, just before you come in, Ronald, is that I mentioned on Twitter that I have observed that businesses tend to take off after 10 years. I have honestly made an observation over so many businesses here in Uganda. If the effort is right, if it is resilient, if there is a sacrifice over time in resources, because you have to get resources from everywhere, if there is a focus to grow the team, to improve the product, trust me, in 10 years you take off. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you so much for the session.
Derek, please go ahead. Derek, are you there? Please go ahead.
Oh, great. Yes. Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for the session, Allan. What an insightful session. So we'll be taking on questions from here. Anyone who wants to ask a question, you can raise your hand and I'll let you speak. You can raise your hand and we'll let you up on the stage. But for now, we do have some questions in. So Julian, you can come on. Then we shall be taking some questions from the chat as well, but let Julian go first.
Yes, thank you so much, Ronald, and thank you to the presenter, Allan. My name is Julian Kumhanji. I am new in this leather industry or manufacturing industry. Question is, I probably missed it presenting. I've heard that the leather industry faces is the inconsistent quality of the leather. So I would want to know how has he been able to handle that, or he sources his leather from outside of Uganda.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, Allan, you've got that?
Yes, I've got it.
Yes, so we had a question from Simon, and Simon was asking, is Rada Shoes a member of any other organization, like the Small Scale Industry Association in Uganda? Then we'll take one more from Moses. Moses says, Moses is in the chocolate manufacturing business, and he wonders how Rada Shoes handles the bias by educated Ugandans who don't believe in local products. So let's start with those three questions, then we'll carry on.
All right. I see Maureen first mentioned, Maureen Birungi first mentioned, we have so much trained labor, but the challenge is that the attitude towards work is very bad, especially from professionals. I think he's mentioning that you've hired an accountant, you've hired a salesperson, but the attitude towards work is very bad. You hire someone with the papers, but also the knowledge is low. Yes, I would like to mention that this challenge does not affect small scale manufacturers. It affects medium scale and even big scale manufacturers. One of the issues is that sometimes, I think a lot of the time we don't hire right. We don't hire right. We don't go through the process of hiring. And in most cases, the time we've been going through top grading at RADA, going through the recruitment process, the truth is that we've identified very good people, but then the challenge has been that, can we pay them? You get a very good person, but you can't pay them. And therefore, you lose the first person, you lose the second person, and you end up hiring the third or fourth person. There, you have already seen that he or she is not the best, and you end up taking them on. You have identified issues. So, but also even our scope of advertising for such position is limited. So you don't necessarily attract the best. So at the end of the day, you're likely to face these challenges. But we need to emphasize the issue of going through the recruitment process. However small you are, do not hire a neighbor, do not hire a relative. We need to go through the recruitment process. But also the other thing goes to the attitude that I mentioned about the psychosocial support. Most people go to these enterprises when they have finished school and they have dreamt of working with MTN. They have dreamt of working with the roofings, and they find a small organization, probably with big dreams, of course, which are not visible, and they are disappointed. But that's where the opportunity is. Yeah, that's where the opportunity is. So they go into this business, and what they are looking for is where to get a head start and probably move on. So when they're on the job, they are not even there. And that affects, and that is the same attitude that I've talked about of Ugandans. When especially you're a very small startup, they see you as a survival. They don't see the big dreams. So how do we solve that? Is to engage the team. You have to engage the team through meetings, through would I call them counseling sessions, such that the team understands the big idea. Sell the big idea, sell the vision, don't hide it. Sell the vision to the team, and some of those people will come on board. But also, Maureen, don't hesitate to fire. When things go bad, don't hesitate to fire if the attitude just doesn't change. Otherwise, the cost will be too high. Julian asked about inconsistent quality. Do I source leather from outside? When you look at our vision of low-cost mass manufacturing, that mission cannot be achieved through importing leather. So the truth is that we do not import leather. Actually, the space for tanners and tanneries has been that the consumption of leather is the volume is too small here. The demand is too small. But if you hit 2,000 and 5,000 square feet of leather consumed locally, you will dictate the quality that you want. And that is worldwide. You will dictate the quality that you want when you go to the tanneries. And that is what the tanneries also want. But if you're still buying 150 square feet of leather, you cannot be party to the quality. They export a lot of the leather outside this country, to China, to USA, to Europe. And these shoes, when you see that shoe of 250,000 Uganda shillings, you are like, wow, where does this leather come from? But when you're able to say, wait, out of that square foot that you're exporting, give me 10,000, they'll give you the quality that you want. But also the other issue I mentioned is the skilled labor force. Most of our workers that we get, they don't have the skill. And you really have to train the skill hard time. That is the only way that will make you different. There is no other password. I asked the Chinese, they said, you have to train the skill. I think in every sector, the skill is very important. And also, lastly, you need to digitalize. You need to automate some areas which are problem areas. At the end of the day, you cannot eliminate workers in a shoe manufacturing factory. But where areas allow for automation, please automate. That's what I can say for now. Simon, are we a member of any association? Yes. We are a member of Uganda Small Scale Industries Association. We have also been members with Uganda Manufacturers Association. We are members at Private Sector Foundation. And it's very important that you become members with this organization, because sometimes there are opportunities that need either your product, need your service, and then they only reach out to members. So it is very important that we join these associations. Then lastly, Moses asked about the attitude towards local products. Now, when you look at it clearly, local products, a lot of them are not the best. When you look at shoes, For example, the one that is manufactured by Chinese, regardless of the quality of the raw material, the finishing is wow. The finishing is perfect. So how do you compete with such? How do you compete with these products which have been international certified? And as such, that attitude needs to change. Of course, there is also still the other idea of these ones, they are made by those people who are here, who are survivors. And yes, that idea changes when the marketing landscape changes, when there is a little bit of advertising, when there is a little bit of sensitization, and the behavior changes. And the behavior change comes with time. But not all local products are bad quality, but we need to also educate the masses to change behavior towards local products, as we also make the effort to give them the best quality. To be honest with you, Moses, sometimes people look at our products and our shoes are like, you guys don't joke. You import shoes and then rebrand them that they are made here. And yes, and then also there are sometimes when the quality goes really bad. So we have to be very consistent and we have to be up to the task to change the attitude. Otherwise, these other big brands, the Cafe Javas, you wouldn't go there and expect a same consistent meal over time. I think that is one of the hardest assignments, but they still manage to do it. So we too have to do it, and we have to change the behavior of our market. Over to you, Ronald.
Yes, thank you, Allan. So anyone with any questions, you can kindly raise your hand and I'll allow you to the stage to speak. But we have a lot of messages in the chat. Gratitude. Catherine says good points made for the baking segment. And Anne says great insights. This is Raw and Awakening. Sharon. Thank you so much, Allan. That is from Arthur. So anyone with any questions, you can have them in the chat. And Simon, thanks, Allan. You've changed my mindset. That is wow. Thank you so much for that. So I don't see any questions, but I think a question that we had here was so how have you managed to prepare Rada shoes to partake in those funding projects, the external funding from Oxfam, from PSFU? How have you managed? Like, we know that is a very strenuous, criteria in order to secure that funding. Can you let us know how someone can prepare their business to secure that funding from PSFU, from Oxfam? What are some of the things they require, and how can I prepare my business for the same? Over to you, Allan.
Okay. Yeah, that's a very important question. First of all, I would like to mention that any external funding or support that comes from the business should be treated as a bonus. The reason is, if you don't treat it as a bonus, you will suffocate looking for it. And sometimes where you expect it, it doesn't come through, you lose it. When I was starting this business, I engaged someone at the Youth Livelihood Fund, and then they sent me to Chira Municipality to meet the community development officer. And the community development officer told me that, Allan, you look like you're doing certain things. You go and concentrate on those. I don't remember her name, and I thought for once that was the best answer that I could have got. And so we didn't access the money, yes, but there are several other opportunities where we've got the money. So the most important is that, one, treat any funding that comes out as a bonus and don't let it distract you. But two, if you get that money, leverage it. I normally like using the word leverage. For example, when we got $10,000 US from Nile breweries, we leveraged that money, and Ronald must be aware that we ended up investing over 120 million. Remember, we got around 30 million, and we ended up investing 120 million. Why? Because someone has believed in us. So we should be able to believe in ourselves, squeeze all the resources that we could get. In order for you to tap into these opportunities, one, I mentioned, be members with these associations. Be members with these associations, and they will present the opportunity. If you're a member of PSFU, they will give you training opportunities. Even currently, there's one which you might not know. If you are in manufacturing, you talk to them. There's something that is upcoming. Two, be on the lookout. Don't confine yourself in your cottage or in your business. A lot of manufacturers do it themselves. I don't encourage that. Train people to do it much better, because you will not focus. The role of the owner is to finance, is to strategize, is to grow, is to market. Now, if you are the one baking this bread, when will you market it? When will you look for the money for it? So train people and let them do it for you, such that, yes, if you're doing soap, like Tayewa has mentioned, train people to do the soap the same way you want it, and let you manage. It is very important. That way, you'll be able to find opportunities on the internet. We subscribe to so many, for example, when you subscribe to Venture Capital Africa, you'll find that they give so many opportunities for both investment, for some bit of grants, for some bit of financing here and there. And those opportunities, those platforms are very, very important. Also, attending events of like-minded entrepreneurs. For example, here at Enterprise Uganda, this is a very important platform. These are people that you cannot put away when you want opportunity for training, for financing, and so many other ideas. So be over the internet, be on the lookout, join associations, join forums on WhatsApp. So many forums are there where opportunities are shared, and you definitely land into them.
Yes, thank you, Allan. So I think, as Allan has said, we have shared Allan's contact for anyone that needs to reach out to him. I see his phone number, the email address, and the website. And as he has emphasized, Enterprise Uganda can be a synergy point for you. Most of the programs he has mentioned here, from UGEFA, from Venture Africa, we work with these people closely, and we can be your synergy and link you up with these organizations, PSFU, and all these other organizations that can truly support your business and see it grow. So those who are asking about the recording will certainly be uploaded on our YouTube channel. We shall also send you an email of the recording. And if you need any other support, we shall send out an email that requires you to sign up for a business health check. It's complimentary, meaning it's free. So we can have one of our business experts and mentors, even Allan himself. For those who are lucky, we'll get Allan to come to your business and have a conversation with you. So we shall send that link to your email and you sign up. So if we have any other questions, kindly, Allan, have you answered that question on how much can I need to start up a bar soap manufacturing company? I think you touched on it. I guess it's very particular. It's very specific. So maybe Tayewa can also reach out to you and you have that conversation and guidance to him. But you can also take a shot at it.
I see. Okay. Yes, I had missed the question, Tayewa. How much do you need? Now, it depends on how you look at it. But the match, in my opinion, the match that you have will get you started, Tayewa. The match that you have will get you started. I have seen a number of people advertising bar making soap machines, and they're selling them. I have told you earlier that we financed our machines to Chinese and some other Italian, where you send money and they say it's okay, you get money and deposit on our account. Of course, it's becoming a little bit expensive, but you actually paid for the money. So in my opinion, let's say you have 500,000 right now, Tayewa. I honestly do not know the cost of a good bar soap making machine, but look out for one, deposit that money. Deposit that money when you promise that at the end of another 2 months, you deposit another 500,000. So if that machine costs 3 million, at the end of it all, you will pay for the machine. Remember, you will not go back to the supplier and say, wait a minute, I have changed my mind. I have lost my relative, so I need money to go for the funeral. They will not give it to you. So when you deposit there, rather not on your account, rather not on your account, because you lose a relative and eat your capital. Deposit it with a supplier, get started, pay slowly. By the time you pay 1 million shillings and they demand you another 3 million, you remember you can't withdraw it and you don't want to lose it. And somehow you'll pay for it and you'll get started. I would ask Tayega to give me a call. Let you give me a call and let's discuss on how we can get started. Like Ronald and Derek says, I do a lot of enterprise support. So if you really want to get hands-on, we can share about this and we'll surely get you started. But any money, Taiba will get you started and moving. Let's talk.
Yes, thank you for answering that. So we have a question from Leonard, and Leonard says, thank you for the informative presentation. How have you been able to calculate ESG goals into RADA, being a startup, since small businesses ignore this, yet it is now a key driver of economic scale? Yes, you've seen the question from Leonard. It's the last one there.
All right. Okay. I mentioned, yeah, Leonard might have come in a little bit late. If I understand ESG, it is environmental, social, and governance safeguards or goals. And if I remember, I have talked about environmental issues very much. And I mentioned that this is one of the challenging areas, but yet an opportunity presenting areas that we are tapping into. Also, I mentioned about something about to do social, maybe governance. But one, how are we able to, he's mentioning how do we calculate them? That's very interesting. The key to calculating environmental, social, and governance goals is really having a dashboard. You have a dashboard and you're able to track it at least every 3 or 4 months, to be able to know. For example, on social, how many shoes have I sold to new clients? And that becomes a big indicator of how far you've impacted people's lives. Of those shoes, how many shoes have been sold to rural school-going children? Because you definitely know where the shoes have been sold. And then it becomes another indicator. And then you're looking at how many workers have you recruited over this time? And then you're looking at such indicators. I think for us, honestly, what we've been doing is keeping a bit of a dashboard. And when we go to the field, we engage the clients on these safeguards, on environmental impact. Do the shoes actually help these children in overcoming, for example, foot diseases? And these are serious conversations. When you look at it, foot diseases, has it helped improve attendance? Because what we are surely aware of at RADA is that when a child puts on a pair of, a brand new pair of shoes, they will get excited. And over that month, they will not miss school. And we know that those who do not have shoes also miss school because they don't have the shoes. So we capture that detail of how has the attendance improved just because you have supplied this school with shoes. So we keep those that metrics in our dashboard, and sometimes we are able to share it. And the same thing with the environment. Our biggest target, for example, now is to be able to overcome. Ronald, do you hear me well?
Yes, I hear you very well.
Okay, I think someone has a network challenge. Is to overcome plastic shoes, which are abundant. We know that over 5,000 tons of plastic shoes are being disposed of to the environment in the form of Masanda shoes, which everyone is aware of. And therefore, if we increase our output, we know we have decreased the interest on Masanda because we know what it does on the environment. And also issues of zero wastage. In our manufacturing, we try to ensure that there is zero waste. One, you're protecting the environment. Two, on the other hand, you're increasing your margins. And those are indicators like that. We track it every week when we sit in our meeting. And when you have young people that you work with, please have a weekly meeting so that you're focusing on the widely important goals. The widely important goals that you're working on as an entrepreneur is very important. One, to motivate. Two, to keep the focus. And then lastly, on the governance, that is one area where our partners are asking, do you have the board? Do you sit with them? Do you keep records? And honestly speaking, it is one area that we've been trying to improve because our board does not meet consistently because of logistical issues, but it's one area that we are trying to improve and make sure that our reporting, we've put in place a board charter and a governance charter to make sure that our governance goals are also streamlined. Otherwise, if you go for funding and investment opportunities outside the traditional financing, these issues will become very pertinent in terms of you succeeding. Thank you.
Thank you so
Over
much.
to you, Derek. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Allan. Yes, so thank you for everyone for attending the session, and we are almost closing. And so if we have any last questions you want to throw in, you can also kindly raise your hand or type the question in the chat. Allan will answer it. And I've shared the link where you can register for the free business health check, whereby we shall have one of our business mentors and business counselors. This Allan is one of these people that usually goes out to give financial advice and practical skills to people who sign up for this program. And so you can use that link. It's in the chat. You can sign up there. It's a Google form link. Otherwise, I don't see any other questions. I'm going to leave the meeting open for people to check out the link and sign up. And Allan, thank you so much for the session. If you have any last comments that you want to wrap up with, we can take that and we close the session.
All right. Thank you so much. I want to thank everyone on this platform for the opportunity. I also have realized I've read a number of entrepreneurs that have joined in to this session. I am very grateful. We need this forum more often, and indeed we thank Enterprise Uganda for providing it. I would like to really to encourage and to passionately push entrepreneurs in this space that don't keep it low. Don't keep it low. Don't keep your business at survival level. We know that in Uganda, like the president says, it is very easy to survive. You can be here for a month and you're not working and you're actually eating. So let's focus on changing the landscape of business. Let's take ownership of the economy, and it definitely takes a lot of persistence, a lot of resilience towards our work. And I would encourage us to dream big, make the dream known, Some people will not buy it, but those who have similar thinking will definitely buy it. And definitely we will change the landscape of so many businesses in Uganda. Please feel free to visit us on our website at www.radashoes.ug We are probably the biggest leather shoes manufacturer in this country. And yes, we are taking this game to another level. Our lines are open. And also the most important is that our shoes are very affordable and they can be delivered everywhere. They are durable and they are user-friendly. You will not believe their performance. We can do business together. Thank you so much, Enterprise Uganda, for always being part of us, for encouraging us. And please check in because Enterprise Uganda does amazing work. These voices of Ronald and Derek, they are very big game changers. Talk to them and the business can never be the same. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Let me take a comment from Emmanuel. So Emmanuel, you can unmute. I see your hand up.
Thank you so much, Nisima. Thank you so much, Ronald, for the brilliant presentation. I couldn't leave without reminding members here, being the insurer, yes, entrepreneurship is good, but many times whenever you start without managing the risks involved, risks like fire, goods in transit, business generally, many times if you don't really consider insurance, you are going to be, you will just be more or less falling back and wasting out of time. So I'm requesting that you check on my link I have posted below. Let me post it again so that you can understand how business packages, insurance packages, which are the most affordable. They're quite affordable. And many times you business people, the entrepreneurs who are on call, only think about insurance once going to the banks, and the banks force you to get insurance. And once the loan is done, you forget about insurance, forgetting that the risks always remain. So with that said, I want to thank you so much and be blessed.
Yes, thank you so much,
The link
Emmanuel.
below. I've ever presented here before. And
Yes.
there's also an episode on YouTube.
Yes, so we encourage
so
people to go. Yes, thank you, Emmanuel. We encourage people to check out Emmanuel's session on insurance and how you can safeguard your business using insurance. It's also on our YouTube channel. You can always go and see it with a plethora of other sessions that we have done over the years. And so I just want to say thank you, Allan. Thank you for everyone for attending the session. We're going to leave the meeting open. I just want to say that we have these sessions every Thursday from 9 a.m. for about 1.5 hours. So every Thursday we shall be here. See you next week, and the other Thursdays that we shall be conducting the sessions. Thank you so much for attending and have a lovely week and Easter break. Thank you.